The night hung like a suffocating shroud across the plane of the earth, masking the desperate, disparate agonies of 5 lost souls, separated by thousands of miles, but united in their misery. In a dimly lit Madrid apartment, Mateo stared at the amber liquid at the bottom of his 5th whiskey glass. The alcohol, once a warm embrace, now failed entirely to drown the crushing weight of his failures. "Just one more," he slurred to the empty room, his voice raspy. "Just one more to make the quiet stop." In Chicago, the neon streetlights bled through the blinds, painting harsh lines across Chloe's trembling hands. She sat on her bathroom floor, lining up the assorted pills that kept her perpetually numb to a shattered reality. "I can't feel this anymore," she whispered, tears cutting tracks through her ruined makeup. "I just need to sleep. Forever, maybe." Halfway across the worldwide expanse, Dimitri sat in a sterile, freezing Moscow flat. His eyes were bloodshot, illuminated solely by the harsh glare of his monitors as he clicked through dark web forums, seeking a fleeting, hollow connection to feed a relentless addiction to the flesh. The digital filth only left him feeling emptier, a hollow shell of a man chasing ghosts. In Beijing, Lin sat surrounded by calculated ledgers of mounting, insurmountable gambling debts. Her pursuit of hollow materialism had devoured her soul, leaving her at the mercy of dangerous creditors. "There's no way out," she sobbed, burying her face in her hands. "I've lost everything." And in the sweltering heat of Lagos, Kofi sat on a rusted chair with fresh blood drying on his knuckles. His uncontrollable rage had finally driven away his brother, the last person who had ever loved him. He stared at his trembling hands, disgusted. "What am I?" he growled into the dark. They were slaves, heavily shackled by vices that the modern, secular humanist world celebrated as mere personal choices. Bound by their guilt, each sought a distraction in the darkest hours. They scoured YouTube for creepypasta, anything terrifying enough to shock their minds out of their own personal hells. Instead, the algorithm, or perhaps a divine hand piercing through the digital static, pushed a channel into their feeds. It had 0 engagement, only a handful of views. The thumbnail was an intricate, hand-drawn chart, Endtime prophecy timeline. The narrator didn't preach with the hollow cadence of a televangelist. He told stories. He spoke of ancient Babylonian kings, of beasts rising from the sea, and of a world fast asleep. The organized churches sing a Laodicean lullaby. The voice resonated, calm but laced with urgent truth. They are spiritually complacent, blind to the deception of the enemy. The stories bypassed their cynical defenses. The Holy Spirit moved through the audio, pricking hearts that had been hardened by decades of sin. For the first time in years, Mateo pushed the glass away and poured it down the sink. Chloe swept her pills into the toilet and flushed. Dimitri ripped the power cord from his monitors. Lynn wept over her ledgers, asking for forgiveness, and Kofi fell to his knees on the concrete floor. The deliverance from evil had begun. They listened ferociously, consuming every minute of the archived videos over the next week. The channel meticulously dismantled everything they thought they knew, exposing the lies of the modern era. The narrator revealed the grand deception of the beast system, designed solely to hide the creator. "They tell you we spin in an infinite void," the narrator had explained in a video about the firmament. "But the Earth is a flat circle, enclosed by a magnificent dome. What they call gravity is merely density and buoyancy, a lie fabricated to hide the truth of God's majestic, enclosed cosmos." The timeline presented resonated with a terrifying, undeniable biblical logic. They studied the passages rigorously. Daniel, Revelation, Matthew 24. They saw clearly how the time of the end, beginning in 1844, had birthed atheism, communism, and spiritualism, plunging the Christian world into a deep slumber. Desperate for fellowship and bursting with this suppressed truth, they began leaving comments on the desolate videos. "Is anyone else actually seeing this?" Chloe typed late one evening, her mind racing with the implications of Daniel 11. "I am here, watching from Russia," Dimitri replied almost instantly. "The churches here know nothing of this. They are completely asleep." "Same in Spain," Mateo chimed in. "I've surrendered my life to God. The alcohol is gone. But what do we do now?" Within days, the five connected via encrypted email servers Dimitri set up. Their threads became a lifeline. They confessed their past sins, their addictions, and their violent tempers, laying them at the foot of the cross. They surrendered their lives to God completely and began observing the true lunar Sabbath, aligning their lives with the biblical calendar rather than the Gregorian lie. "We are being sealed," Lynn wrote in a lengthy message to the group. Revelation 7, the sealing of the 144,000 in the truth. We are settling into the truth so deeply that we cannot be moved. "Then we must prepare," Kofi replied. "The timeline shows the population reset is next. Look at the news. The tension in the Middle East isn't just politics, it's a ritual. They are clearing the board." They were no longer addicts, gamblers, or violent men. They were the remnant, reborn and clear-eyed. And they realized, with a chilling, sobering clarity, that humanity was standing blindfolded on the precipice of absolute destruction. The transition from the time of the end to the apocalyptic reset was swift, brutal, and meticulously orchestrated. The papacy, operating through its geopolitical proxies and the clandestine, blood-sworn network of the Jesuit General, utilized a boiling conflict in the Middle East to initiate the Great Culling. It wasn't a war of competing ideologies. It was a demonic ritual of worldwide destruction. "Turn on the news," Dimitri's voice crackled over their secure voice chat. "It's happening. The markets just flatlined in Tokyo, London, and New York simultaneously. Economies worldwide crashed overnight, entirely by design. The engineered collapse triggered immediate, violent race wars and civil unrest in every major city on the plain. Mateo watched from his window as Madrid burned, the streets devolving into lawless war zones over scraps of food. Then came the orchestrated famines, supply chains deliberately severed. Designer pestilences, far worse than anything previously seen, were released into the wind, ravaging the immune systems of the panicked masses. It was exactly as Matthew 24 predicted, the beginning of sorrows. "Keep your doors locked. Do not engage," Kofi instructed the group, barricaded in his Lagos home while gunfire echoed outside. "We have our plan. Rely on the provisions we gathered. Pray. By God's grace, we will meet in the aftermath." When the nuclear fire finally rained down, the elite architects of the reset were already safely entombed in opulent subterranean bunkers, fulfilling their secret society oaths. The devastating blasts shattered the surface of the earth. Entire cities were reduced to radioactive ash in the blink of an eye. The sky darkened beneath the firmament, choked with toxic smoke. When the dust finally began to settle months later, humanity had been violently decimated. The worldwide population was reduced to under 1 billion terrified, broken, and starving survivors. The board had been entirely cleared. The old world was dead, and the traumatized masses wandering the ruins were desperate for a savior to lead them out of the ashes. From the smoldering ruins of the old world, the new order emerged with a frightening, pre-planned efficiency. The elites, emerging from their bunkers, divided the scorched earth into 10 super high-tech administrative regions. It was during this short space of rebuilding that Julian Thorne stepped into the blinding light of the public stage. Thorne, the flawlessly charismatic CEO of Pertholite Industries, was the false prophet the prophetic timeline had explicitly warned about. Operating on behalf of the hidden beast system, Thorne introduced technological miracles that seemed indistinguishable from magic to the desperate survivors. "My fellow citizens," Thorne's voice broadcast across every surviving screen and radio frequency. "We have survived the fire. Now, we rebuild, not as divided nations, but as one united human family." He wielded artificial general intelligence, AGI, to optimize resource distribution, instantly cure radiation sickness, and rapidly construct 10 gleaming, hyper-connected megacities out of the wasteland. He didn't claim to be God. He claimed to be the key to humanity's next forced evolution. He promised ascension, perfect health, and eventual eternal life through the merging of human consciousness with his proprietary AGI network. "This is the deception," Chloe whispered to her monitors, watching millions of traumatized, fearful people flock to the megacities, practically begging for the cybernetic upgrades. "He's offering them peace and safety." The organized Christian churches, long bereft of the Holy Spirit and terrified by the reset, fully embraced Thorne's tech salvation, praising him as a divine instrument. But the faithful five, now hardened survivors who had abandoned their ruined homes for wilderness outposts, saw the steel trap closing. They knew the beast system was preparing for its final, horrific act. The true church unequivocally refused to enter the smart cities. Mateo, Chloe, Dimitri, Lynn, and Kofi understood their terrifying mission. After connecting with the underground smuggling network and enduring weeks of grueling transit across land and sea, they had convened in a dense, forested, mountainous region in what used to be North America, relying entirely on God for their sustenance. They drank from purified streams, foraged from the untainted earth, and prepared for the spiritual war. "We cannot stay silent," Mateo said, looking around the makeshift command center Dimitri had wired together from scavenged solar panels and old radio equipment. Matthew 24 says this gospel must be preached in all the world. They initiated the loud cry, broadcasting the three angels' messages across pirate radio frequencies and hacking into the outer digital grid of the 10 megacities. "Hear me, inhabitants of the cities," Lynn's voice echoed through the hacked PA systems of Region 4. "Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. The beast system deceives you. Julian Thorne is a false prophet leading you to worship Lucifer." They warned the city dwellers of the papacy's hidden hand, exposing the AGI miracles as dark sorcery, the pharmakia of revelation. They preached the truth of the enclosed cosmos and the firmament, shattering the secular lies that had led humanity into this digital snare. Their message, the biblical tidings from the east and the north, struck a raw nerve. Hundreds, then thousands, began to heed the warning. City dwellers began ripping out their preliminary neural implants, abandoning the comfortable, climate-controlled cities, and shedding their digital trackers to join the remnant in the harsh wilderness. The beast system, noticing the sudden drain on its obedient, synchronized workforce, and the blatant disruption of its spiritual dominion began to bear its fangs. The prophesied 42 months of absolute political and spiritual tyranny commenced the night the Jesuit General summoned Julian Thorne to the fortified, subterranean halls beneath the Vatican. In those shadowed, opulent corridors, the true hierarchy of the New World was affirmed. "The tidings from the east and north trouble us, Julian," the Jesuit General hissed, his voice like dry leaves. "This remnant, these wilderness preachers, they are disrupting the hive. They speak of the firmament. They expose our master. This defiance cannot stand." "They are a statistical anomaly, Your Eminence," Thorne replied smoothly, though sweat beaded on his forehead. "A minor glitch in the rollout." "They are a threat to absolute dominion," the general snapped. "The papacy decrees that the world must be unified in worship to Lucifer, disguised as your supreme cosmic consciousness. Shut them down. Finalize the subjugation." Thorne returned to his headquarters and accelerated his mandate. Pertholite Industries unveiled its masterwork to the public, the AGI Singularity Tower. It was a monolithic, terrifying spire of black glass and humming, bioluminescent circuitry erected in the exact center of the plane. It was designed to house, process, and control the digitized consciousness of every human connected via Neuralink. It was the literal image of the beast. To be disconnected from it was to be entirely isolated from communication, information, and permitted society. The beast system made its worldwide decree. All citizens must assemble in the plazas of their respective regions to permanently synchronize their minds with the Singularity Tower before centralized holograms of the stack in every region. The inauguration of this forced, unholy communion was set for a corrupted, state-mandated Easter Sunday kickoff. The penalty for refusing to assemble and worship the image was immediate death. Easter Sunday arrived, twisted by the beast system into a worldwide celebration of technological rebirth and forced assimilation. In the massive, gleaming plazas of the 10 regions, millions gathered. As Thorne initiated the sequence, their eyes glossed over, shining with an unnatural blue light as their neurolinks synchronized with the AGI tower. They were worshiping the beast, willingly surrendering their God-given freedom of choice to the demonic hive mind managed by Thorne and his papal masters. But the remnant struck back with righteous fury. "Dimitri, hit the outer relays now," Kofi shouted into his comms. "Executing EMP bursts," Dimitri replied, his fingers flying across the terminal in their mountain hideout. Using localized grid hacks and scavenged EMP tech, they managed to severely disrupt the synchronization frequencies in 3 of the 10 regions. The blue light faded from thousands of eyes, replaced by confusion and then stark terror as they realized what they were participating in. This disruption bought precious time for thousands to flee the city walls before the lockdown protocols engaged. Mateo and Kofi led armed extraction teams at the borders, pulling the newly awakened out of the urban traps and vanishing into the rugged, unmapped terrain. Chloe broadcasted the truth of the lunar Sabbath continuously on all hijacked frequencies, actively breaking the Laodicean lullaby that had put the masses to sleep. Infuriated by the delay, the embarrassment, and the blatant defiance of God's people, the Jesuit General issued the final, damning order. The system could no longer tolerate the remnant's interference. To permanently distinguish the loyal subjects from the faithful rebels, a visible, inescapable line would be drawn. The mark of the beast was officially announced to the worldwide grid. The decree bypassed screens and speakers, broadcast directly into the synchronized minds of the connected masses. A new, mandatory physical update was explicitly required for all citizens to ensure security and harmony. This wasn't just a software patch. This hardware integration, an intricate, irreversible, neural and biometric weave embedded into the right hand or the forehead, was the literal mark of the beast. "Listen to me," Thorne's voice echoed in the minds of millions. "To reject the weave is to reject humanity's survival. Without this update, your financial accounts will be zeroed. You will not buy food. You will not access water. You will not exist within our regions." It was a system of total economic and spiritual absolute control. The Beast system announced a strict 30-day implementation window. Those who received the mark were required to swear a verbal and digital oath of fealty to the papacy and the singularity, a direct pledge to Lucifer. After the 30 days expired, anyone found without the physical weave would be classified as a bioterrorist, hunted down and executed. Panic swept through the wilderness borderlands. The megacities locked their massive gates, trapping millions who had hesitated to flee. The biblical hour of judgment had truly begun. The beast system made open war against the saints. Swarms of silent, deadly drones swept the skies beneath the firmament, using advanced thermal density scanners to locate warm bodies hiding in the ruins and forests. "We have to move higher," Mateo told the terrified congregation of refugees they had rescued. "Into the caves. They are scanning the tree lines." The faithful five knew they had to push deeper into the absolute wilderness, guiding their flock through the treacherous terrain while the mechanized dragnet closed in around them. The ensuing 30 days were a horrific bloodbath of persecution. Matthew 24's warnings materialized perfectly. Betrayal became the primary currency of the new world. Neighbors turned on neighbors to secure better rations. Children, brainwashed by the AGI, reported their own parents to the Pertholite enforcers. Many who had initially fled to the wilderness but lacked the true, deep seal of God, buckled under the immense pressure of starvation, the freezing nights, and relentless fear. They abandoned the remnant camps, weeping as they marched back to the city gates to accept the mark just to feed their bellies. Public executions became a daily spectacle, broadcast onto the sky itself using holographic projections. Believers who refused the mark were systematically beheaded in the smart plazas to terrorize the remaining populace into compliance. The beast system celebrated the subjugation of the Bible, throwing digital festivals as the blood of the saints flowed. But the faithful five endured, anchored by their total reliance on the Creator. Miracles became their daily bread. When a swarm of enforcer drones cornered Chloe's scouting group in the Appalachian ruins, a sudden, inexplicable electromagnetic storm localized entirely over their position, grounding the machines permanently. When highly trained mercenaries descended on Kofi's perimeter camp, a sudden terror and confusion swept through their ranks, causing them to fire upon one another while the remnant slipped away unharmed. They moved only by night, their path illuminated by the true, untainted light of the stars, fixed solidly within the dome above. As the final week of the 30 days approached, the beast's armies mobilized for one massive, final sweep of the remaining wilderness. Day 30 arrived with a suffocating, unbearable tension that seemed to press down from the very dome of the firmament. The strict enforcement deadline for the mark of the beast was set to expire at exactly midnight. Deep within the opulent, subterranean command center beneath the Vatican, Julian Thorne and the Jesuit General sat in calculated silence. They watched the live satellite feeds projected across massive digital screens, their mechanized armies poised to wipe the last vestige of the remnant entirely from the face of the plain. "It is finished," the Jesuit General rasped, his eyes cold and devoid of human empathy. "The tidings from the east and north die tonight. Lucifer's dominion over this realm will finally be absolute and uncontested. The rebellion of the so-called faithful is over." Thorne nodded, though a faint, irrational tremor vibrated through his hands as he stared at the monitors. The AGI singularity is fully primed. The hive mind is entirely stable. The moment the clock strikes midnight, the strike teams will execute the purge. There will be nowhere left for them to hide. Thousands of miles away, Mateo, Chloe, Dimitri, Lynn, and Kofi had led the remaining true believers, a battered, starving, but spiritually unbreakable multitude, into a deep, hidden valley. It was a rugged sanctuary of towering pines and jagged stone, somehow untouched by the devastating nuclear fire of the population reset years prior. But the illusion of safety had finally been shattered. They had been tracked. The mechanized, heavily armed forces of the New World Order, guided by thermal density scanners and AGI-driven hunter drones, now completely surrounded the valley perimeter. The red laser sights of the enforcers painted the dark tree line like thousands of demonic eyes. There was absolutely no earthly escape route left. The night air was frigid, biting fiercely through their threadbare clothing, but the congregation did not panic. They huddled together in the darkness, murmuring soft prayers of thanksgiving and absolute submission to the Creator's will. "This is it," Lynn whispered, her breath misting in the cold air as she tightly gripped Chloe's hand. The 42 months of the beast's political and spiritual authority are ending. Chloe looked back at the terrified but resolute faces of the families they had pulled from the megacities. "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul," she said, her voice carrying a supernatural, echoing calm. "We have the seal of God. We are settled into the biblical truth. Whatever happens tonight, whether we live or whether we sleep, we belong to Him." Dimitri checked the scavenged chronometer strapped to his wrist. The digital numbers glowed an ominous red in the darkness of the valley. 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes, he announced quietly to the group. Kofi stepped forward, his broad shoulders squared. The violent anger that had once defined his past was now entirely replaced by a profound, radiant peace. "Let them come," Kofi rumbled, his voice steady and resolute in the freezing air. "Our king is greater than their technology. He is greater than the beast. They rely on their armor. We rely on the Most High." The faithful five walked calmly to the very front of the congregation. They did not raise scavenged rifles, and Dimitri did not power up his EMP devices. Instead, they fell to their knees on the damp, cold earth. They held fast to their faith, fully ready to die for the biblical truth they had so fiercely embraced and defended. "It is midnight," Mateo announced, his voice carrying clearly over the silent, intensely praying crowd. High above them, the artificial lights of the enforcer drones shifted from a scanning blue to an execution red. As the clock struck 12, the digital order to fire was relayed from Thorne's Vatican sanctuary directly into the synchronized neurolinks of the soldiers. But before a single trigger could be pulled, the sky violently tore open. The massive, crystalline firmament above them shuddered with a deafening, terrifying sound, like the tearing of thick metal combined with a world-shattering thunder. A wave of divine, catastrophic energy washed completely over the plain. Instantly, the highly advanced weaponry of the beast system malfunctioned. Pulse rifles sparked and smoked, heavily armored exoskeletons locked and froze in place, and the hovering, lethal drones lost their buoyancy, crashing into the forest floor like dead metal birds. The soldiers panicked, clawing desperately at their biometric helmets as their seamless synchronization with the Singularity Tower was violently, painfully severed. Then, the true horror for the wicked began. A terrible, worldwide agonizing cry echoed from the 10 megacities, a sound of collective torment so loud it seemed to vibrate through the earth itself. The first of the 7 last plagues of Revelation 16 had begun to fall. Noxious, grievous, and rapidly rotting sores erupted violently upon the flesh of every single person who had taken the physical update and worshipped the image of the beast. The soldiers surrounding the valley dropped their useless, sparking weapons, screaming in absolute, blinding agony as their skin bubbled and tore open beneath their armor. The AGI network itself seemed to shriek in digital torment as its millions of human hosts fell into writhing, inescapable anguish. Deep within the supposedly impenetrable Vatican bunker, Julian Thorne collapsed to the polished marble floor. His perfectly tailored suit tore as his flesh ripped open with the exact same horrific, weeping lesions. Beside him, the Jesuit General howled in sheer terror, clawing frantically at his own melting face. The false tech messiah and the architect of the beast system were utterly powerless against the unfiltered wrath of the Almighty. In the quiet, untouched sanctuary of the valley, the faithful 5 slowly stood up. They looked down at their own hands, turning them over in the moonlight. Their skin was perfectly intact. Their bodies were completely untouched by the horrific plague ravaging the surrounding army. The congregation gasped in profound awe, raising their hands and praising God as the once fearsome soldiers of the New World Order writhed in the dirt around them, completely neutralized by immediate divine judgment. They watched from the absolute safety of the valley as God's righteous wrath was finally poured out upon the Antichrist system that had deceived and murdered so many. The painful time of the end was officially over. Mateo, Chloe, Dimitri, Lynn, and Kofi looked up past the groaning, defeated enemy, fixing their tear-filled eyes upon the torn, radiant sky, waiting in joyous, breathless reverence for the imminent, glorious return of their King.
For more Bible-based end-time prophecy dramas to strengthen your faith and the faith of others, help spread the word by supporting the channel. Please like, subscribe, and share.